Rana Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success. Hey, Dream Drivers, welcome to episode 113 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And this is going to be a solo episode with just me. I'm going to make this one short today. I want to just talk about a message that I had on my mind, on my heart for the last few days. And something happened yesterday that I want to share with you guys just because I feel like you guys need to know, and just because I was so hyped, and I think it really does show and it epitomizes why the message today is so important. But before we get into the episode, just a few reminders. As always, make sure that you are following us on social. We are Dreams and Drive across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I love it when you guys are screenshotting and sharing that you're listening to the episode across Instagram stories, especially Instagram, Twitter. So make sure you do that now. If you think that this episode is going to be one that other people need to hear, and make sure to use the hashtag Dreams and Drive wherever you're listening to us, whether it be Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, wherever. Hit that subscribe button so that you are notified every week when we have a new episode. And especially if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, leave a sister a review. I love reading the reviews, and they are so helpful in just getting other people to know about the podcast. And they also help with our ranking. So if you want Dreams and Drive to grow, those reviews would be really, really helpful. If you haven't already listened to episode 112 with James Lopez, where we talk about why family is so important and how to build a business that matters, please hit stop on this one because this is going to be a short episode, and go back and listen to episode 112. I don't feel like that episode got as many plays and as many downloads as other episodes do, but I'm telling you, it's one of my favorites, and it's just a conversation that I think we don't have enough. So please, please, please go back to listen to that one. All right, so let's get into today's message. I want this to kind of just be like a Friday pick-me-up, a Friday vibe. You know, I don't normally do 2 episodes a week, but I just really, really felt like this was something that you guys had to hear. So the message for today, as you can tell from the episode title, is feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. So what does this mean, right? I'm going to be talking about how I made my first sale. And when I say sale, I've sold a lot of things in my life, right? Even with just being an entrepreneur, a part-time side hustler, as you might call it, I've had consultations before. I've sold sponsorships for this podcast. I've sold merchandise for this podcast. But this week, I made my first podcast strategy session sale. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the podcast strategy sessions later. Well, that's going to be the whole premise for this episode. I made my first sale, and why is that so important? So let's go back a little bit in time. So when I was a kid, and I talk to our guests all the time about what they were like as children. I think I've talked about this before. When I was a kid, I always wanted to create. I was that kid who was thinking of new things and convincing other people to do it, right? My best friend and I, as kids, we used to make cookies and sell it to our neighbors. I had a girl group called KRS, and we used to put on backyard shows, and I would charge people like 10 cents to come into the backyard to watch us perform. I was like a real hustler, and I had I didn't have this fear of putting myself out there. I put a price on something and I sold it. I remember I had a bookmark business back in the day, and I would design bookmarks, and my mom would take me to Staples and get them laminated, and I would print them out and I would sell them and give them to people. And I was just so confident in my product. And you ever wonder about when you're younger, why you have this confidence and this ability that whatever price you put on your product was what it was worth, right? But as I grew older, that confidence in selling, that confidence in exchanging money for something that a service I provided or a product I put out there was something that diminished. And I had to really, really think about why that was, right? I realize now that this idea of feeling the fear and doing it anyway is so connected to being a dream driver, and is so connected to being on a dream driving journey, because there's power in the mindset, and you have to get extremely clear on your mindset if you want to succeed. I'm telling you this. Get clear on your mindset. What are you telling yourself? What are you feeding yourself? What are you feeding yourself, right? This week, I interviewed someone named Jamar Mills, who is known for turning around some really bad school districts in New Jersey. And he's a principal. And he said something to me. He was quoting someone else. He said, those who say they can and those who say they can't are usually both right. And that hit me. This week, that really hit me. What are you telling yourself that you can do? What are you telling yourself that you can't do? Because whatever you're telling yourself that you can and can't do is right. If you're telling yourself, I can't sell this, you won't, right? If you're telling yourself, I can sell this, you will. This made me go back to think about episode 104 with Jen Sincero, when she talked about this idea of fear. And you have to question that fear. And for a long time, you guys, a long time, I had been so scared to put out these podcast strategy sessions. People would hit me up all the time and ask me podcast related questions, and I'd be able to answer them. I'd spit out knowledge. I'd spit out, things I've learned. But I knew that I needed to package this expertise in some way, but I just kept sitting on it. I was in a mastermind for 6 months. 6 months, you guys, 6 months. And every 2 weeks, we were supposed to report in on the progress of, our business goals. And I would just create new things to do. I would accomplish different things. And when it came to launching my consulting and strategy sessions, I just had an excuse every other day, right? And I had to say to myself, what is it I am fearful of, right? I had to ask myself why. Why was I so scared to launch this thing? It's really not that big of a deal, right? You set up a page on your scheduling platform, link it up to a payment gateway, create your sales copy. I know what I'm able to do. I've had a successful podcast. It's almost 2 years old, over 300,000 downloads. I've interviewed over 100 amazing guests. I've grown it to streams in over 150 countries, or however many. It's over 100. I don't remember the exact number. I'm qualified, but yet I had this fear. And I had to ask myself why. And I had to be real honest with you, and I'm going to share some of those reasons why. Number one was I was scared that people wouldn't get results. I was scared that my advice wouldn't be good enough. I was scared that people would think that I'm charging too much. I was scared that people would think I was a phony and a fake, and that, I wasn't qualified. Although I knew I was qualified in my heart, I was scared of what other people would think, right? And those things are all legit feelings to feel, but are they legit feelings to let ruin my chances of ever starting? And the answer to that is no. Those are not feelings that I should have let consume me for so long, but I did, which I learned from, and I'm going to hope my best that is something that I don't continue to let overcome me, because if I want to build a business, you got to make money, right? And if I want to build a business, I got to make profit. And if I want to build a business, I have to provide a service or product so that I can build that revenue and grow. And there's so many other people that I can help if I start to bring in that revenue for Dreams and Drive. So I had to really just be 100% with myself. And over the past week, I was talking with Art Steele, as you guys know. I think I mentioned this on episode 112 when I announced the podcast strategy sessions. And she has just been someone over the past few months who has been really, really just telling me, like, Raina, you're worth it. Like, Raina, this is stuff that I've helped her a tremendous deal with even her own podcast. And I had to keep telling myself, damn girl, you know some shit. You know some stuff, right? And I deserve to get paid for that knowledge that I'm able to give to other people and that value that I'm able to give to other people. And if you're out there the same way, doubting yourself, if you feel like, you have this product, this service that you want to put out there, you have to really, really come to grips with you are worth it and you deserve it. And now this episode could be one about, how to actually make your first sale, but I don't want to make it about that. I want to make it about just reminding you that you have to feel the fear and do it anyway, right? I had to just stop making excuses. And I talk about this in the procrastination episode. That's episode 107. I just talk about how to stop procrastinating and start getting things done, because that procrastination mixed with fear is not a good formula for success at all. It's not something that you can really do if you want to be a dream driver. So I'll link to some articles on the show notes page where you can just look at some different online resources that help you with just the tactical part of making your first sale. But I want you to remember today, What is that thing that you're fearful of? And how can you feel the fear and do it anyway? Now, there are just some quick things, and this is not really tactical, but this is just more on helping your mindset. And I know it helped me, is do your research. If you have something that you are really scared about launching, go out and see what other people are doing, right? I think for me, when I had these idea to do this podcast strategy session, I had to go out there and see how other people were doing it. And I had to go out there and validate for myself that, wait, other people are paying people to do this, so why not me, right? Sometimes you might even have to practice and do it for free. I've had over the past few months, lots of people that I've come to and I've helped, right? I put out a how to start a podcast guide on ranacampbell.com because I had to just, for myself, because I know my personality type, I know the things that what drives me. I talk about knowing your love language. I know my love language. So I knew that I had to get some type of affirmation from someone out there, right? And just by practicing and doing it for free allowed me to really tell myself, wow, Rana, you know a lot. You might have to get some testimonials along the way, right? You might have to just keep telling yourself, you're going to have to announce it to the world, right? You're going to have to tell someone that you have this idea. And for me, it was just putting a little feelers out there. I'm going to do it soon. I'm going to do it soon. Because then I had people who heard me say that and they would come and say, hey, when are you launching this? When are you launching this? When are you launching this? And I'm like, soon. But, I had to get on it. And I think that once you do that, you're going to get yourself prepped for it. But the final push, right? Imagine this. Close your eyes. You're about to bungee jump, right? You're about to bungee jump. You're walking towards the edge of the cliff. You could stop or you could take the leap. You just paid all this money for this bungee jump attraction. What are you going to do? I would hope that you would jump, right? So there comes a point in your life when you're in a dream driving journey where you're really just going to have to jump and trust that you'll be able to make it. You're going to have to trust, as Lori Swank said in episode 20, right? Jump and build your wings on the way down. Don't even think about hitting the rock bottom. Think about all the good things that could happen. And for me, I just put it out there. I said, this is what's going to happen, right? Number one, this is going to be a test for me. This is going to be me realizing whether or not I have what it takes and me realizing whether or not this is something that people want. And if they don't want it, that's all right. But at least I tried. So I really launched the podcast strategy session with that whole mindset in place, right? What are the best things that could happen, right? The best things that could happen is someone books a podcast strategy session. The best thing that could happen is that someone books it and we do it and their podcast grows and they feel like it was valuable. The best thing that could happen is that multiple people book strategy sessions and multiple people are helped, right? And it grows and revenue's coming in. And with this new revenue, I'm able to do more things, right? I'm able to outsource different parts of the podcast so that I can focus on some of the other things that I have going on, right? There's so many good things that can happen once you feel the fear and do it anyway. So I urge everyone who's listening to this today, everyone who's listening to this, ask yourself, take a pause if you have to, really get real with yourself. When you get real with yourself, nobody has to know what you're thinking. It's just a conversation between you and you. Get real with yourself. And it might be hard, but it's something that I think really pays off. You got to be willing to put it out there. It's not going to be perfect. And I heard this quote that says, if your first product is perfect, you waited too long, right? You can't be afraid of messing up. We're all going to mess up. We're all going to mess up. And if people come at you for messing up, you could say, all right, I messed up, but what have you done, right? What have you done? Remember, if you mess up, you can always fix it. You can always fix it. I know that there's someone listening to this that is sitting on something, whether it be a blog that you've wanted to start, but you've talked yourself out of it, whether it be an idea you've had, but you think that it's stupid, whether it be something that you really want to do for yourself, but you keep convincing yourself you don't have time. We make time for what we want to make time for, right? We make time to scroll through our phones on Instagram. I know I did that. Even this morning before waking up to do this podcast, I put my alarm on snooze for 15 minutes and I sat on my phone and was scrolling through Instagram. And I had to get real with myself and be like, listen, Rana, he said he was going to do a podcast this morning. Get up and do it. But I think the most important thing that you have to do is acknowledge that fear. And I know a lot of times people say, embrace the feeling that you feel, like whether it be you're going through something and you want to just run from it, embrace that feeling, embrace that fear. Say, yes, I'm fearful, but so what? I still did it. That's what I did. I was fearful to launch a podcast strategy session. So some of you might be like, why, Rana? You do this podcast all the time, right? But it's not about you understanding why I'm fearful. It's about me understanding why I'm fearful and not letting that fear run over me. And what I found too is tell someone that you're afraid. Don't keep it in. If you feel like it's just something that's running through your own mind, you're creating all these scenarios, sometimes you just got to tell somebody. And hearing someone say, girl, you are tripping, could be the best thing for you. So that would be my encouragement to you guys all this morning, is to just please feel the fear and do it anyway. Now, don't just do stupid things now. Like, you definitely want to make sure you rationalize and that you are doing the appropriate research beforehand. But I think that one of the things that will help us all, and it's something that I've heard from our guests, I've talked to a lot of people on the show, is that whole theme of mindset and making sure that you are feeding your mind, you are exercising your mind, your mindset is something that is going to be what keeps you going on those days when you are feeling like nothing is going to go right? You have to be mentally strong, spiritually strong, emotionally strong, physically strong. But most of all, I definitely think that that mental clarity and that mental mindset, those exercises you tell yourself, those ways that you keep yourself strong, self-care, self-love, all that stuff is so important. So that's it for our little Friday morning motivational speech, whatever that was. I just want to tell you guys a little bit more about our Dreams and Drive podcast strategy sessions, which I got my first sale yesterday. Woo, woo, woo. Right now, the strategy sessions are 60-minute sessions where we'll go through whether you're launching a podcast and you want to kind of just go through how to do it, resources to do, you want to pick my brain and you want to just get my strategies and advice on that, we can do that. It also is for people who already have launched a podcast and need some help taking it to the next level. I think that a lot of times, a lot of podcasters, at least that I have seen, are not fully optimizing different marketing and promotional strategies that they could definitely be using to help grow their podcast. And that might be because it might not be in their background. I'm not going to brag, but there are definitely reasons why I am qualified for you guys to talk to me. So, Dreams and Drive, since launching, has been featured in over 40 online publications, including Essence Magazine, Madame Noir, XO Nicole. It's been featured on the podcast homepage over 5 times in different ways. And that's rare for independently produced podcasts. I think that over the past 2 years, I've really honed my passion for storytelling, and I've learned the secret to booking amazing guests, having them share my episodes with their audience, and how to grow an amazing and engaging audience. So I want to say these are some things that we'll discuss during the consultation. Marketing and branding hacks that will help you grow your listenership month over month, how to build valuable relationships that you can use to promote your brand that can lead to amazing features, how to create a seamless podcast production marketing system. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, right? You need to have a system with whatever you're trying to launch, whether it be a podcast, a blog, whatever. You need to have some type of system that you can repeat week over week so that you're not guessing, you're not thinking about what's next, you already know what's next. And for me, systems and processes were crucial. This podcast journey, especially if you're doing it by yourself, can be very lonely and daunting, but it doesn't have to be. And I just want to make sure that you guys are able to find success strategies in your own niche. So if you want to book a session with me, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/session. That's dreamsanddrive.com/session. I'm going to tell you up front right now, these sessions are $125. They may go up later on, but right now they are $125, but I'm telling you it's worth it. So hopefully you guys can go to the page, check it out, read some more about what you're going to get. And if you think it's an investment that's worthwhile to you, go ahead and book something right now, today. Tell a friend, share it with someone, share this episode with a friend. You know how that goes. Now, I am super excited for our next episode 114. It's going to be with Emily De La Cruz. And Emily is just, she calls herself the original Cardi B. So if you guys can imagine how that episode is going to be, she's just such a pleasure to talk to. And she keeps it real. When I say she keeps it real, she keeps it like 1,000% real. So yeah, get ready for episode 114. As always, make sure that you are subscribed to us wherever you're listening to us. Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play. Hit that subscribe button so that you get notifications every time we go live. Please share this episode with a friend. It's short, but I think it's kind of inspirational. I think there's some nuggets in here that we all can apply in our own life. If you want to share it with someone, you can tag them more on social. We are Dreams and Drive across the board. You can also use the hashtag Dreams and Drive as well. And remember, we also have a Facebook mastermind group. So if you want to be part of the Facebook Mastermind group, just go to dreamsanddrive.com/Facebook to sign up. Or if you're on Facebook, you can just type in Dream Driver Mastermind. Page will appear and you can request access and I'll go in and approve you. And if you guys like these shorter episodes, please let me know. I am always responding to people on Instagram, DMs especially. That's probably the best way to get to me. Hit me up on Instagram or send me an email, Rana@dreamsanddrive.com, and tell me if you like these and give me suggestions on other solo topics that we can talk about. This one was just one that was on my heart. And you guys know I'm in my feelings all the time. When I feel like something's on my heart, I try to just do a podcast episode about it because sometimes those are the best ones. Keep dreaming, keep driving, and we shall chat again in episode 114. Bye, guys.